And we're on the air in 3, 2, 1.
Speedy TV.
Speedy TV.
Live from Paralyzed Veterans of America's Health Summit.
Delivering excellence, achieving state-of-the-art healthcare.
Hey everyone, I'm Nick McCoy for Speedy TV, and welcome to Day 2 of the Paralyzed Veterans of America's 2013 Summit and Expo here in Orlando, Florida. Now we have a lot to see and learn about here in Day 2, and you can join in on all the conversation by heading over to our Instagram and Twitter pages using PVA1946. You can also use the hashtag PVA Summit and head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/paralyzedveterans. Now let's get started with Day 2.
Hello everyone, I'm here with Lena McKenzie, the Associate Executive Director of the PVA. She's the lady in charge of everything that we've been seeing for the past couple of days. Lena, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you right now. How are you doing today?
Better today than yesterday. Thank you for asking.
So your day, yesterday was day 1 of the summit, and you were just booked and really busy. Can you speak about a little bit about day 1 of the summit?
Yeah, usually day 1 is like, your first day is first impressions. And being in charge, you want to make sure people get to their places, people get settled in their education track. So it started from 6 a.m. until I think we ended like 8 p.m. last night. And to be honest, I'm glad I got up early, and I'm glad, we paid to the detail attentions. It was great. It's turned out to be a successful summit so far.
And this is the 3rd annual running of this summit. You have to be incredibly proud. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I was lucky enough to be involved at the begin stage. It's part of Paralyzed Veterans of America commitment to support clinicians throughout the country who practice in this area, spinal cord injury, disorder, MS, neurologists, and we so believe that the incredible work that happened here at the summit will benefit the patient at the bedside, and that is the ultimate goal, is to benefit our paralyzed veterans members and people with disability, especially with spinal cord injury and MS. So this is our 3rd year, and the tremendous amount of support from all angles, and I have to say I'm amazed of the turnout. From the first day of the summit 2011 and today the 2nd day of the 3rd summit, so many different experience, but it's all positive.
And you said there's a lot of work being done here that will benefit the patients. What kind of work are we seeing being done in there?
Well, spinal cord injuries is a unique injury. It's impact all level of a person. And if you're a clinician and you're not trained and handle these type of patient, you're at a loss when you take care of these individuals. Speaking from a nursing perspective, I was trained and practiced 10 years in spinal cord injuries facility. And when you have a patient who present themselves with spinal cord injuries or with MS, and you have never taken care of one of these guys, it's a huge challenge. It's almost foreign language to you on what their special needs are. So these kind of events really engage people who's new to the practices, and for those who have lots of experience, it's sharing your knowledge, networking, become a mentor, presenting your best ideas. So those physicians who knew or never been in an SCI setting can take back to the patient. And I'm one of those who believe in outcome measure. And how do you know if your summit or your conference is successful is after the fact. And the first year after we had the summit, part of my job is also travel throughout the country. We conduct survey at different VAMC that provide care for these individuals. We hear things from clinicians. We saw positive outcome. People who never took care of a patient with MS now equipped with a certain knowledge to do so. So to our goal, that is a great benefit, and ultimately that's what we want, is the desired outcome.
You said you're very interested in this field. Can you take me back? You were a nurse for a long time. How did you kind of make that transition from nurse to associate executive director?
Well, I started my career at a VA facility that have spinal cord injury, and I was a brand new nurse. So getting myself into spinal cord injury is like a huge risk. Is like, what do I know about spinal cord injury? Because being in nursing school, there isn't a course that taught you how to take care of spinal cord injury individuals. So it's a new path for me, even though I graduated from nursing school and know how to be a nurse. But taking care of patients with this type of injury is another challenge. And we always say that spinal cord injury is a field that whether you love it or you hate it, there's no gray area. Yeah. I happen to love it, and I stay in this practice for about 10 years. And Paralyzed Veterans of America is an advocacy organization, and one of their priorities is healthcare for their member. So they conduct survey throughout the country. I happen to be on the other side of the table, being interviewed by Paralyzed Veterans of America team of the quality of care we provide to veterans. From perspective of a nurse, do you think there's a good place to work? All sort of survey question. So year after year, you've been exposed to these wonderful organizations. You kind of heading toward like, do I want to do this kind of work every day, or do you want to impact the life of veterans in a bigger picture? So I got recruited to come and work for PVA in 1997. I've been with them ever since. That speaks volume.
Well, thank you, Lena. Thank you for what you do, and this event is awesome, and it's so interesting, and have a great rest of the summit.
Thank you. Thank you for talking to me.
I'm here at the expo, and I'm joined by Lisa Matter at Bioness. Lisa, how you doing this year at the summit?
We're doing great. Yeah, it's been good so far.
Great. That's good to hear. Can you talk a little bit about what you do at Bioness?
Sure. Bioness is a neuromodulation company. We work with individuals who have had a spinal cord injury, a head injury, stroke, MS, any neurological injury, and we provide electrical stimulation devices to help restore function.
Okay. And we have some of these devices right here. Can you walk us through some of these?
Sure. So this is our H200. It's our upper extremity device. It goes on your arm. There are 5 electrodes, 2 that help open your hand and 2 that help close your hand. Okay. You can use it for exercises, so to strengthen your arm or to regain function. Oh, wow. So after an injury, if you're paralyzed, it'll restore that function. You can use it to hold on to things.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else do we have here?
And then this is the L300. It's our lower extremity device. The cuff goes just below somebody's knee, and it pairs with a foot sensor that goes in their shoe. And as they lift their foot, it brings their toes up so they can clear their leg to take a step. Okay. So it is very life-changing in that it can get people up and walking further, faster, and safer.
And how was your experience here at the summit? Is this your first time here?
Actually, this is our 3rd year to partner with the PVA, and it's always been a very positive experience.
So you've been here since the beginning?
Yes, since the beginning. I guess 2 years ago it was here, and then last year it was in Las Vegas. So
that's right.
Yeah, so we had such a good experience 2 years ago that we've partnered with them every year since then.
So for the people watching at home that are considering sponsorship, why do they need to be here at this summit?
It's an amazing event in that we all support the same thing. We all work for veterans. We all work towards increasing independence, increasing function, and providing veterans the services that they need.
That's great. Can you take us through the history of how you started working with the PVA?
We started working with the PVA in 2005 when Bioness was developed because we worked with the veterans, and we found that some VAs were more forward-thinking than others, and when veterans wanted to access our technology, oftentimes we needed the PVA to help advocate for the veterans, to help explain the veterans their rights, and so it's been an amazing partnership in that we both work for the same goals.
Fantastic. It was a pleasure talking with you, and I hope you enjoy your presentation and the rest of the summit. Thank you.
We've got an entire generation of men and women who have seen war. They're going to need voices.
Paralyzed Veterans of America represents them.
We're going to make sure that the Veterans Affairs gives them everything that they're entitled to.
Changing lives, building futures. That's Paralyzed Veterans of America.
All right, I'm here with Dr. Kosis for the Yale Research Center. Dr. Kosis, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you. How do you feel being here at the 3rd Annual PVA Summit and Expo?
Well, it's terrific to see such a group of people from very basic clinical care to very basic spinal cord injury related science coming together, talking, planning strategies, sharing ideas. It's a real thrill.
Yeah, it's great. And you're a speaker here.
Yes.
What will you be talking about?
Well, my talk was on stem cell research, and our panel discussed current advances in terms of the basic science of different types of cells related to spinal cord injury and multiple sclerosis, and prospects for clinical development in the future, and kind of where we stand now and what we might hope for in a really realistic and balanced way.
Right. Okay. Before we get more into your research, can you talk a little bit about the Yale Research Center and what you guys do there?
It's a very exciting place, and I guess we're going on 25 years now.
Yeah, that's right. This is the PVA's 25th anniversary for sponsoring the Yale Research Center.
It's very exciting. My colleague, Dr. Stephen Waxman, he's the chairman, so to speak, the director of the center. I'm the associate director, and we both sit down occasionally and marvel not just at the advances that have been made within the center, but globally what's going on right now, and to look at the challenges that we faced 25 years ago and to look at the new challenges we have for the next 25, hopefully, are very exciting. We've been thrilled. It's been a terrific focal point for cell transplantation work related to spinal cord injury. Steve Waxman, he has a major emphasis on pain related to spinal cord injury. The molecular approaches, the cellular approaches have been very exciting, and we're very pleased.
You're a lot smarter man than I am, and I could ever hope to be. Can you tell our viewers out there, in everyday terms, what exactly kinds of problems are you trying to solve?
Well, there's a number, but basically, after traumatic spinal cord injury, there's a very large array of changes that occur, from severing of axons that will connect brain to cells in the spinal cord that are related to movements and pain, sensation. There are changes in the vasculature where blood vessels will be disrupted and have to be rebuilt and reorganized. Myelin, the insulating material on nerve fibers that allows them to send impulses, electrical impulses, very rapidly, gets disrupted. So we've kind of a multi-focal approach in trying to look at each one of these elements, from vasculature to regenerating axons, putting on new myelin, preserving tissue after it's been damaged. A very insidious element of spinal cord injury can be progressive damage that can occur over weeks, months, or years, decades, and try to find mechanisms that could limit that secondary damage is very important.
And what does that mean for people with spinal cord injuries? More mobility? Are they able to do more?
Well, with basic research in animal models, we have the advantage of having very standardized, carefully controlled lesions, so we can statistically look at improvement. With patients, it's a bit more complex because each lesion's a little different. But we're hopeful that we can take the approaches that have the most significant potential for functional improvement to be able to deliver those to the patients in the future, to bring about enhanced movement, reduction of pain, greater sensation. I was in Europe recently talking to a rehab group in Austria, and they made a point that we all recognize. A frustration they have is trying to convince the public, and in their case, the European Union, that if you had a patient that had very limited movement in the hand, if you could increase that movement 15 degrees, 5 degrees, 10 degrees, it could lead to such significant improvement in quality of life, cost of care, could be staggering. And so we don't only look for the home run. We want base hits, and there's been many base hits that have been achieved, and we're pushing along, as are others, and we're really excited to see progress being made.
That's great. It sounds fantastic what you guys are doing. What drives you to keep working in this industry?
I mean, it's our lifeblood. We have been dedicated. I mentioned earlier that we've seen very significant advances in the field in general, and you just get caught up into it. Yeah. It's just the next step as things keep improving. If I may, I'm the chair of the scientific advisory board for PVA in terms of funding. And a thrill that I've had through the years is to see these young minds coming in with these very exciting grants, novel ideas, And I've been around long enough that I can see some of them who are very senior now, and they're sending their students in. One element of PVA in terms of education and research sponsorship has been to attract very talented young neuroscientists, neurologists, neurosurgeons, etc., to come into the field. And I've personally seen it stick. You know, if you're a young guy just out of residency or out of graduate school and you get your first grant from the PVA, it makes an impression. You tend to be pushed in that direction. Spinal cord injury was something, when I was in graduate school, people would say, there's nothing you can do about that. But now, well-trained molecular biologists are entering the field specifically to deal with multiple sclerosis, spinal cord injury. It's very exciting.
What would you say to the people watching that are thinking about coming over here, clinicians or people who are thinking about sponsorship? Why do they need to be here?
At this particular meeting, I think part of it is the breadth of attendees in terms of expertise. That it's very refreshing where one can see a rehab therapist or a nurse that's in the trenches, along with very distinguished neurologists, neurosurgeons, respiratory therapists, everybody together addressing a common issue. And so unlike most of the focused molecular meetings that I will attend, this is really broad-based, and a lot of good ideas will be passed back and forth, not only from doctor, scientist to physical therapist or to nurse, but the other way around. Right. It really is a two-way street. It's been very, very valuable for me, and I hope that it has been to others as well.
So you've been here every year, and you teach and you do all that stuff, and you relay information. What do you plan on taking away from this year's summit? Do you have anything specific that you're kind of like looking for, or are you just soaking it all in and seeing what you can come away with?
Well, primarily it was soaking it in, but there have been a few gems. For example, in the session that I had with stem cells, we were able to talk quite frankly and openly about realistic expectations in terms of when cell therapies will be generally available. I plan to ponder that, to discuss that. As much as I'm not an outcomes measure clinical type, that it was very invaluable to see the charts and what VA delivers and delivers well, what VA does not deliver as well as it should, and where improvements can be made. These are all very important issues that need to be talked about, the good and the bad.
Right, exactly. That's what's great about this conference. There's open communication, back and forth.
Communication, very honest, very clean, and I think people will go home and take that message back, make improvements where they can, and continue excellence of care where it's ongoing.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for speaking with us.
Great.
Have a great rest of the summit.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm here back at the expo, and we are here at another booth, Braun Ability, and I'm speaking with Chuck. Chuck, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Braun does?
Braun's a manufacturer out of Winnemac, Indiana, kind of the innovators or starters of the industry almost 40 years ago now. Present, what you're seeing here is a lowered floor minivan. We take a van brand new out of the factory and cut the floor out, drop it down either 10 or 14 inches depending on the needs of the client, and then add the ramp, put it all back to OEM specs, and then distribute it to retailers around the country.
So you can do this with any van?
Mostly right now we're using the Dodge, Chrysler, Honda, and Toyota.
Okay. And can you walk us through what we're looking at here?
Yes, this is the ramp that folds up and stands in the doorway, and then the power door, of course, comes shut. It's a power-operated door and ramp, but at any time there is an issue, you just slide the door open, shove the ramp out, and out the client goes.
Perfect. And how does this work? Is there like controls inside the van?
Yeah, it works off the remote control of the vehicle, plus there's buttons all around the inside of the vehicle to operate the door and ramp at the same time.
Can you talk about how important it is that the PVA does something like this?
Oh, absolutely. Veterans come back and they have various issues and they're not always sure where to go to get help, and the PVA can be a perfect opportunity for them to just get all the information they need and get the help that they need.
What makes it so a must to be here at this event?
Well, you just have an opportunity to meet people from veterans organizations from all over the country in one spot.
That's perfect. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for demonstrating the technology and talking us through it, and enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey everyone, don't forget that you can join in on all the conversation here at the Paralyzed Veterans of America's 2013 Summit and Expo here in beautiful Orlando, Florida by following us on Twitter and Instagram using PVA1946 or using the hashtag PVA Summit. And don't forget to head to our Facebook page, facebook.com/paralyzedveterans.
Speedy TV.
Live from Paralyzed Veterans of America's Health Summit.
Delivering excellence, achieving state-of-the-art healthcare.
Speedy TV.
All right, I'm here with Sherman Gillums, the Associate Executive Director for the Veterans Benefits Department for the PVA. Sherman, it's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. How has your time been at the summit so far?
Well, as always, it's a great learning experience. We get to engage clinicians, therapists, nurses, people that span all the professions across the spinal cord injury system. As a former patient, I love it because I get to appreciate, the challenges from the side of those who provide the care. But I think my value here is to bring the patient perspective as well. So it's a great place to have both of the most important sides of the VA system come together and learn more.
That's fantastic. And I was briefly in part of the PAVE training, and I know that you were speaking very passionate about that. Can you tell everybody what does PAVE stand for? What do you guys do there?
PAVE stands for Paving Access for Veterans Employment. It was PVA's, it started off as a vocational rehabilitation program specifically targeted to take veterans who were paralyzed, talk to them about work while they were in rehabilitation, and then reduce barriers to employment. Some of them have to do with stigmas toward severely disabled veterans. Some of them had to do with a lot of other things that just required education. For this summit, we brought all of the counselors and all of the service officers here to talk about how we take employment and make that a part of the rehabilitation process. A lot of times we stop short of reaching full potential because we think going home is the goal of rehab, and it's not. And even playing sports, which is great, but that's just another stepping stone. We think gainful employment should be the ultimate goal of every veteran who wants to work going through rehab.
Yeah, I think I heard you say that in the early days, the goal was to get you well and get you home, but now the goal is to get you well, get you home, and then get you employed.
Well, the great thing is I've lived the experience. I mean, when I was going through rehabilitation back in 2002, my sense was that once I left the hospital, I graduated. And it wasn't true. I wanted more. I had to go to school, get my master's. I tried work a little bit. I needed to, get a little help, some coaching, some motivation, and eventually I got the position I have today because there were a lot of people along that journey who helped me. We want to make this program the embodiment of that experience that I lived as a patient. So I'm living proof that ultimately if you can get somebody, no matter what disability that he or she has, a job, that's the way you make people whole after they suffer injury.
So if you're working with a patient, what do you do to determine what they want to do for employment?
Well, we need to remember that patients don't come into an injury without a history. So there's some sets of skills, especially veterans. I mean, they're all trained people. They've gotten the military invested and given them certain competencies. You can either build on those or you can find out how they translate into something else. Somebody who was a police officer can work dispatch. Somebody who works in IT, of course, you can there's a whole range of things that somebody can do. So I think you have to first encourage the individual to begin to think about work in a different way that may be different from the experience they had before the injury. And once you do that, you can kind of expand the horizon of opportunities by taking a look at what's out there, tailoring rehabilitation around those things, those skills you need to work. If you need to drive a van to get to work every day, well, you got to start working on driving a van and dressing, putting on a tie, all those things. I mean, we take a lot of it for granted, but it took me, I think, about 3 months to learn how to sign my name, and now I sign my name pretty regularly, but it takes a while. So if you incorporate the notion that work is the ultimate goal into rehab, then I think you heighten the likelihood that somebody's going to find a job irrespective of the type of disability that he or she has.
That's fantastic. Do you have a unique story that sticks out that you are proud of as far as a veteran with a spinal cord injury finding employment? Anything that sticks out?
I think the story I'm most proud of, we had a gentleman who was injured probably around the same year I was. He ventured into self-employment. It didn't work out too well, but he had a strong background in IT. For some reason, he couldn't land a job. And through our work out of the Richmond PAVE office, We got him an interview with Microsoft. And I think our program, it doesn't seek to solve veteran unemployment. What we say is if you want the opportunity, we're going to help you get it. Now, you got to go in and get the job. And so what we did is we prepped them with resume writing skills, resume writing, interview skills, all the things that you need even as an able-bodied person to get a job. We got those things covered, and he went in and won the job. So he's a project manager at Microsoft right now, making 6 figures. I'm very proud of that. And he's a quadriplegic. This guy's otherwise written off by a lot of other employers.
That's a fantastic story, and you guys are doing great work with the pay training. Thank you so much. Back to the summit. How do you think this year's summit is going? It's day 2. It's not over. Have you gotten a chance to go around to the different booths? Are there different exciting technologies or exhibitors that have caught your interest, or have you just been busy training people?
Well, for one, I had a keynote speech I did this morning to open the day up, and I was able to talk to clinicians about spinal cord injury rehab from the patient's perspective. And a lot of the vendors here, we work with them throughout the year. There are a lot of great things happening in medicine, and there's a reason why we have fewer spinal cord injuries in more recent years, particularly in the Middle East where the conflicts were happening. Things have just gotten better. But for those where, unfortunately, spinal cord injury is going to be the outcome, there are a lot of solutions that have been generated, even over the last decade when I was injured. And I think it's amazing. So I'm always glad to go around and talk to all the vendors and talk to people who are passionate about providing ways to improve quality of life for veterans and people with spinal cord injury.
So I know you're doing a lot of teaching here. What do you want to walk from this away? What do you want to take away from this summit with? So you can go back to your department and use right away.
I drove the point earlier. We have to think about rehab in a different way. There are a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities that people like me wouldn't have had about 20 years ago. We got to have people who become injured see themselves in a different way. Your life isn't over. And of course, along the way, we've done a better job. Each evolution in medicine and each generation, we've learned more. But we're still kind of stuck collectively in a mindset that when you're disabled, you have to be exceptional to step out and to really live. You don't have to be exceptional anymore. We want the exception to be the rule. And the more we can do that, I think we're getting closer to truly achieving full quality of life for people with spinal cord injury and diseases.
And before I let you go, where can people find more about the PAVE training if they want to learn more about it?
I'm glad you asked that. OperationPAVE.org is one place to go, or you can log on to the PVA website, pva.org. See what we do as a whole, and certainly you can click on the PAVE link and find out more details about some of the success stories, some of our numbers, our metrics. We really want to emphasize the stories because we think that's what people want to hear. So we want them to go on and read about the stories, and if they find out that there's a veteran out there who's having a hard time getting a job and has been hard to place, maybe because of a disability or homelessness, definitely refer them to the PAVE program. You can either call the phone number listed or go on the website and get more information.
That's fantastic. It's great. You're doing great work. It's very inspirational, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Enjoy the rest of your summit.
Thank you.
All right, I'm here talking with one of our sponsors, Men's Liberty, and specifically Sarah Woodward. Sarah, great to have you here.
Thank you. We're pleased to be here.
And can you talk a little bit about what you do, what Men's Liberty does?
Sure. Men's Liberty, we're a manufacturer. We make a alternative for external catheters for guys. It's a great way for them to get and compete. We're really involved in the wheelchair games as well because it's a much healthier option for men.
So what is a normal catheter like, and how is yours different?
Well, a normal catheter, most of these guys are using like a diaper, a pad, a guard, or a condom catheter, which is made of latex and has an acrylic adhesive on the inside that's kind of similar to duct tape. And then they have to take that off 3 or 4 times a day, an intermittent cath. And that has a lot of health complications, a lot of injuries, a lot of infections. Ours is made just from hydrocolloid, which is a wound dressing. It's soft, skin-friendly, and it actually is designed to mimic the properties of human skin so that it moves with them, expands, stretches, retracts, and doesn't pop off. We've just passed 1.5 million units with 0 reportable adverse events, so no UTIs, no skin injuries. We've got thousands of really happy, really healthy clients, and we're just here letting all the healthcare professionals know.
So should everyone with spinal cord injuries be using this catheter, or is it very for specific people?
Well, I think anybody who doesn't have what's called urinary retention can use it. That's the majority of spinal cord injured guys, but there are some. It's really, everyone's injury is very unique. It's about their body and where in their spine they're injured. Most can use it, and we would obviously recommend it. It's a much healthier, safer option for them, but there are a select number. It's a small percentage that probably wouldn't be appropriate.
So, and you do have the product here. Can we take a look at it real quick? And can you just describe us and then let the viewers know what we're looking at here?
Well, this is the Men's Liberty device that's as it's applied to a model. And this is the hydrocolloid seal that seals just to the tip of the gentleman's anatomy, which is better. A condom catheter has to seal up the shaft of the anatomy. And the result of that is that when they retract, that the condom pops off. Because our seal's to the tip, it doesn't pop off and it retracts with them. And it directs all the urine away into an integral collection chamber that they can hide discreetly under a pair of shorts, which is great for guys who are outdoors or competing a lot, getting really active. And it also has a cath port right here. You can pop out and you can intermittent cath straight through the device and pop it back in. It's the only device on the market where you can cath through it, which is a really great one for guys that have to intermittent cath a lot.
Why are you guys involved with the PVA and the summit?
We got involved with the PVA because we came about 2 years ago. We've got a lot of athletes that use our product to participate in the wheelchair games, and they actually introduced us to the PVA. They introduced us about 2 years ago, and we've got a lot of their stories on our website. And one of their mothers, who was his caregiver, came in and said, it's an amazing event. He couldn't participate in the games without this. He couldn't leave the house without this. You guys should check it out. So we ended up getting in touch with Elizabeth Alwes at the corporate office, and she convinced us last year to come out to the games in Richmond. And we're absolutely blown away. It was the most amazing experience. We tell stories about it all the time. And because we were so blown away, we actually decided about 2 months later, we became a Mission Able partner. We were just so impressed with the game, so impressed with the organization and with the guys there. There was no pity party. They were just so inspiring. It made you feel grateful to be there. So we really came on with that, We came in running, and we joined the Mission Able a little over a year ago, and we're just loving being involved.
That's awesome. So you're a sponsor here. Why should other people be sponsors at this Expo and Summit?
Well, because it's an amazing organization to be involved with. I mean, being a sponsor, we enjoy it because we get access to a lot of the healthcare professionals that otherwise it's normally a little difficult to reach out to sometimes, and all in one place. So that's where we come in, and we were new at this last year, and we did a lot of awareness raising. We came back this year, and people know who we are. Right. That's the thing that has jumped for us this year. People recognize the name, they recognize the product, and they're recommending it to people. So we're getting clinicians coming up with stories of their customers and their clients that are using it that are happy. And that's a fantastic thing for us. There's nothing better than word of mouth.
Right. Word of mouth and building a reputation and contacts is really important.
Absolutely, and that's what we use a lot of this for. It's a lot of networking, a lot of relationship building, and we're hearing from customers that we normally, doctors you don't always hear from directly, but when they're happy, they let you know.
That's right. Well, Sarah from Men's Liberty, it's been an honor talking with you, and have a great rest of the summit.
Thank you. You guys enjoy.
Well, that's it for Day 2 of the Summit and Expo. Don't forget to tune in to Day 3 for even more on the latest technologies, innovations, and more exciting interviews with this year's attendees. But until then, I'm Nick McCoy for Speedy TV. We'll see you next time.
Speedy TV, a service of Paralyzed Veterans of America.